Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we're going to discuss, of course, our super mayor, Tiffany Henyard. She made the news twice, 2 times in a row. Are you guys surprised? I'm not. and you never guess what she is trying to pull off to solidify her tenure as Thornton Township supervisor. So we're going to discuss that today. Also, we're going to stay in Illinois. We have some things that we want to discuss with Mayor Brandon Johnson. He's always in the news. Um, one topic I would like to discuss is the immigration crisis in Chicago. There's some alarming things about uh, the way that they're housing migrants. And I don't know if the shelter that they're providing is if it's sufficient enough for people, even people to live there. Or, of course, these immigrants or illegal immigrants are coming from Venezuela and they're being bused or shipped to Chicago. I guess it's an elective thing. They're asking them at the border, where do they want to go? And some of them are opting to go to Chicago. However, with that, they're not used to the cold temperatures in Chicago. So illnesses will come about when you're coming from a warm climate to a cold climate. It takes your body to get used to colder climates. Matter of fact, when I was living in North Carolina, I talked to one physician, and he said people in up north in the colder climates, they have a certain layer of fat under their skin, and that's how their body is used to the colder temperatures. So, and it usually takes you a while to build that layer of fat up so your body could get used to that cold temperature. Anyway, it's making the people sick. So Brandon Johnson is mad as hell, but he's mad as hell at the wrong person. He's mad at Greg Abbott, and Greg Abbott has nothing to do with it. He's mad at Greg Abbott and the people that's busing them to him. He's trying to impose sanctions on the bus drivers that are busing migrants to Chicago. So we'll talk about that. And then Mayor Brandon Johnson, he wants to tackle education. He's trying to, well, he's saying education in the Black community or in Chicago is not equitable. And reason why he's saying this is because some of these high performing schools have selective process, and he wants to do away with that. I see a very big problem with that, but we'll discuss that all today on another episode of Business Talks. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. So if you enjoyed that intro music, you want to go to scoresomemusic.com, www.scoresomemusic.com. One of my viewers named Matt Torrance, he composed and wrote this particular music just for my channel. So he could do the same for you. All you need to do is go to www.scoresomemusic.com. Okay, you guys, let's get into it. So your girl, Tiffany Henyard, she's in the news today. Actually, she was in the news yesterday. She decided that, she's going to use the Thornton Township monies to campaign for her. And what's so bad about it, she tries to say, or she presented these billboards as advertisement for the Thornton Township for like help, senior services, help with like the food bank or general services, just general services that you need. But what's so bad about it, she got her damn face. She has her face plastered everywhere. It doesn't say Thornton Township. I mean, it says it on there, but you can't really read it. It says Tiffany Henyard. And the problem with that is there was, I guess, a law against, and it's not with Thornton Township Supervisor. It's mainly with mayors and governors. They made a law against governors, mayors, elected officials to use their face on city and township advertisement, because they want to make clear that you cannot mix up the township or the city advertisement, whatever services that you're presenting or trying to get people to sign up for. They want to make it clear, like, you're not the person that's doing it, it's the city. They don't want your face to be plastered everywhere, like you own the township or the city. But Tiffany Henyard, she's
$10 million within the next 12 months to
Would you advise one of your candidates to do something like that using taxpayer funds?
No. Not using taxpayer funds.
Okay, so if you've driven one of the expressways in the south suburbs recently, you've no doubt seen one of these giant billboards. They feature the name and the face of a smiling local politician. What you may not know is the money for these billboards is coming out of taxpayers' pockets, and that's raising questions for Tiffany Henyard, the Dalton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor, who has already come under fire for spending public money promoting herself.
Dan Placco has the latest.
Politician. What you may not know is the money for these billboards
Four giant billboards featuring Tiffany Henyard's name in large letters, along with her picture, smiling down on the thousands of cars going by on Interstate 57 and the Bishop Ford Expressway. What are they advertising? One says fresh produce, another senior services, and this one simply says we offer general assistance. There's a phone number, but you wouldn't know what it's for unless you can read in teeny tiny letters Thornton Township Supervisor as you're speeding by.
Support this bitch. Like, she blows the fuck. This is what we get. She like the principal of Abbott Elementary. Like, why the fuck is your face out of everybody on every motherfucking page? Every motherfucking page. All of it. Like, the kids. She care about the kids. No, this bitch care about her big bomb ass face being posted on every fucking thing. She's a weirdo. She looking out for her people, and her people only gonna come to my motherfucking building sitting here trying to hold off and threaten to fail motherfucker because this bitch want us to use her specific people. Yeah, that's why she's fucking corrupt. That's why she's fucking weird. That's why she fucking needs to go.
Along the expressways.
We showed the billboards to Bert Odelson, an election attorney who's been working in Illinois politics for 50 years.
When I first looked at it, I thought, what is she running for now? Because that's what it shouts out.
Odelson, who represents a political faction opposed to Henyard and Dalton, says it's clear the billboards are promoting more than township services. He says they're essentially campaign ads.
This is a blatant attempt to promote herself politically. The township should not have paid for these if they did, and I'm sure they did.
Hello?
They did indeed. Bills obtained by Fox 32 under open records laws shows Thornton Township paid more than $10,000 for the vinyl signs themselves.
So put in the chat, let me know if you could hear me. Put in the chat, let me know you can hear my sound. Put in the chat. You guys put in the chat, let me know you can hear me and see me. I could hear it in my microphone. That's why I thought I had sound. My bad. Okay. I was just a talking. Now, could you hear the actual video? The video that I was playing. So, like I said, let me just go back to the beginning. Your Thornton Township Supervisor, Mayor Tiffany Henyard, Thornton Township Supervisor. She's being really weird, and she's plastering up her face on these billboards and saying it's advertisement for Thornton Township, and it's really not. It's not advertisement. It's advertisement for her campaign. Her election is up. She's going up for re-election, I believe, next year for Thornton Township. So she's trying to make people remember her name. That's why she has her name plastered everywhere. Look at this. Everywhere. You don't even know this is from Thornton Township. You wouldn't even know because her name is everywhere. Her name, you can't even see Thornton Township on this.
Going by on Interstate 57 and the Bishop Ford Expressway. What are they advertising? One says fresh produce, another senior services, and this one simply says we offer general assistance. There's a phone number, but you wouldn't know what it's for unless you can read in teeny tiny letters, Thornton Township Supervisor, as you're speeding by.
These are the billboards that have gone up along the expressways.
We showed the billboard to Bert Odelson, an election attorney who's been working in Illinois politics for 50 years.
When I first looked at it, I thought, what is she running for now? Because that's what it shouts out.
Odelson, who represents a political faction opposed to Henyard and Dalton, says it's clear the billboards are promoting more than township services. He says they're essentially campaign ads.
This is a blatant attempt to promote herself politically. The township should not have paid for these if they did, and I'm sure they did.
They did indeed. Bills.
Yeah. Because you can't say, hey, I'm going to put my name up on these billboards and put little teeny tiny letters and say Thornton Township, and we're advertising for the township. We're not advertising me. And you got your name and your face plastered everywhere. You guys didn't hear this part. They have a law against this specifically. In Illinois, you cannot have when you're advertising for a city or township or a village, whoever's the village supervisor, whoever's the mayor, they're not supposed to have their name on the advertisement because it commingles, or you could get confused. Is this an advertisement for a campaign advertisement, or this is an actual advertisement for the city? So that's why they don't want your name or your face plastered everywhere. But Tiffany Henyard does not get this. She wants to use the township's money to advertise because she doesn't care. She thinks she could get away with that because she put Thornton Township on there somewhere.
Obtained by Fox 32 under open records laws shows Thornton Township paid more than $10,000 for the vinyl signs themselves and more than $12,000 to Clear Channel Outdoor Advertising for 1 month's rental of the billboards.
What was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, first of all, I didn't know anything about them.
Thornton Township trustee Chris Gonzalez says the board was never consulted about the billboards, which he says needed their approval.
Kind of the first.
Chris Gonzalez used to be a strong supporter of Tiffany Henyard. Matter of fact, if you go back to one of my videos when she was elected in, he motioned her election or nominated for her to be township supervisor. So he's you could say, oh, I didn't know about it, blah, 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 blah. But you are complacent in what you're doing. You know, you're not sticking up for the people. Anyway.
Some of the first things that popped in my mind is, what are we doing? This isn't a big sale. We're not selling cars here. I mean, if it's informational, then it should be informational. I mean, there's so many other ways we could have spent that money that would have, directly helped people.
This isn't the first time Henyard has used taxpayer dollars to burnish her own personal image. In fact, on other occasions, she spent a lot more.
Hey guys, it's the Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Earlier this year, Fox 32 showed you how Henyard spent tens of thousands of dollars using employees.
Well, and this part, they're saying that She's using tens of thousands of dollars of employees' money for guards. You know, tens of $1,000. She used tens of $1,000 to march to Springfield for her nonprofit organization. Matter of fact, that march to Springfield costed Dalton 30 grand. Or close to, I think it was like 17 or 20 grand, something like that. I have to pull it back up. But you're going to Springfield. That's like 200 miles away from where you were at. Like, come on now. And then these guys that's surrounding her, for some reason, she wants to feel like, oh, I'm a big superstar. I have to have bodyguards. Who in the right mind needs bodyguards 24/7? And you're in a small town. It's not like people are out to get you. Well, they probably are out to get you now because you done pissed so many people off. But why do you need 24-hour round the clock bodyguards? And several of them. One guy collected 360 hours in a 2-week pay period. Why do you need that? So that means he didn't even go to sleep. He literally didn't go to sleep. And they were questioning about that, and they're like, oh, it's needed. So that's what they're talking about right here. I'm really not going to play that, only because, sometimes Fox 32 don't like me playing none of their stuff. They'll try to dispute it, so I won't get paid or monetize on this video.
Which is yet to file required reporting. And you can't turn your head in Dalton.
Oh, and let me tell you this. So the CARES Foundation is out of, what is it called? It is not in accordance to Michigan, or not Michigan, but Illinois. She hasn't registered. She's registered, but it's not valid right now. And who's responsible for that? That's her right-hand man, administrator, Keith Freeman. So Keith Freeman, he's so busy of being, passing out mess, being messy, and he can't even keep up with the registration of her own 501c3. Is not in good standing. That's what the word I'm looking for. Her 501c3 is not in good standing with the state. And Keith Freeman, he is the resident owner or whatever. So he's supposed to take care of that. And he hasn't. Because he's really not an administrator. He don't know what he's doing. He knows how to steal people emails, lock out people from their building. He knows how to do that stuff. And one person, I'm going to remain nameless, in my inbox now, he's saying that they actually gave them out new phones so they won't have old text messages. Something to use against them. He received, the person that's in my email said they received about 2 new phones since he'd worked there, because they don't want them to have a back. And you could tell how Keith Freeman is kind of stupid. They don't want them to have any information regarding their criminal activities or what they're doing. But they don't know the FBI. Hello, if you're listening, the FBI can pull deleted messages. Did you know that? Have you watched CSI First 48? Come on now, people. Like, how slow do you have to be? I mean, come on. We're talking about cybersecurity. These guys went to school for cybersecurity, and there's some type of data analysts at the FBI. So they'll be able to pull up old text messages and old emails that you think that you erased and got rid of. The FBI will be able to do that. So anyway, Tiffany Henyard, she's not in good standing. She used the township money to promote her campaign. She uses the township money to promote her 501c3. And all the while that she has her township these trustees. I don't know what's going on with these trustees in the township. Now we got the 4 trustees in Dalton. She does stuff to them because she got to lock them out because she doesn't have the majority of the vote. How she's getting away with this in Thornton Township, which is it encompasses a larger population. How's she getting away with it? Let's keep on continuing. I want to highlight somebody in here. Yuga fan 17161. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And something if just came out of the Abbott, her trying to cut the 225 position salary 90% if she loses the seat. Yeah, she just that's the next story I'm going to talk about. She's a hot mess. And she's trying to solidify her tenure as the Thornton Township supervisor. And yeah, I just noticed my mic was off, but hopefully you guys can hear me now. Thank you for another super chat. Really appreciate you. Good evening to everybody out there. Put it in the comments. Let me know if you're in Illinois and you're near Dalton, or you're a resident of Dalton, or you're a resident of Thornton Township.
It's on all the government-owned vehicles, buildings, calendar featuring all the important dates to remember, including her birthday.
I would be having a fit if.
Is she serious? She put her birthday in the calendar for people. Like, how narcissistic do you have to be? So full of yourself to put your birthday. Now you supposed to be a public servant, and you gonna put your birthday in a calendars and pass it out. Get it printed and pass it out. Printed and paid by the Thornton Township and pass it out to residents so they could praise you like how great of a person you are. I mean, her ego is so big.
She was my client, telling her not to do this.
Veteran Chicago political consultant Delmarie Cobb says there would be nothing wrong if Henyard were using her own political funds for those promotional materials, especially the billboards.
I actually had a candidate years ago who was running for mayor of Dalton, and that's what we did. We bought billboards along the expressway, because if you're coming and going home all day, and one of the things I always say about billboards is they're working when you're asleep.
In 2011, state lawmakers passed a law banning the practice of politicians putting their names on publicly funded signs, spurred by these tollway signs featuring former Governor Rod Blagojevich. That law does not extend to mayors or other elected officials, but election attorney Odelson believes the billboards do violate state election laws.
It's a crime. Yeah, you're using public funds for something that taxpayer dollars shouldn't be used for.
And just when you think you've seen it all, take a look at this. When the first billboard went up last summer, Thornton was misspelled as Thornton.
You could tell she got a bunch of idiots working for her, because whoever made this, they put Thornton instead of Thornton. It's misspelled. And then you had to pay for it. So you paid $10,000 for a misspelled word. Who proofread read this? Apparently she did. And some of her non-qualified people that she got in office with her. So they have to replace it, which was another $10,000. And she's always, you know how she talked to that one lady that she fired? The assessor's, I guess it was like her assistant or whatever. The assessor assistant, I forget what the young lady's name. And she said, oh, if you go to school and figure out how to do your job. Well, who went to school for this? You live in Thornton Township and you don't know how to spell Thornton? Really? And they actually put this up. And usually if you have an advertisement, they send a proofread to you. You got to proof it. Then you got to okay it. Because if this happens, they're going to be like, oh, you proofed it. So you got to pay another $10,000 to get it remade. Because we sent it to you. You said it was okay. This kind of stuff, it makes, number one, it makes her look like an idiot. Number one. Number two, you just doing stuff just illegal. And number three, who cares? You saying welcome to Thornton Township. Why don't you just say welcome to Thornton Township? Why you got to have your face on there? Or call us for help. For what? What is this advertisement for? So everyone can remember her name. Now, this is just one thing that she was in the news for. The other thing is your girl decided to solidify her office, her position as a supervisor permanently. That's if she don't get locked up. Permanently, because she passed the ordinance. She passed, you guys. I don't know how this thing passed, but we're going to take a look at what the report says. She passed this ordinance, I guess last week, or I don't know when it happened, but making sure that no one will ever want to run for the Thornton Township again. Where is is this it? No, that's not it. That's kind of loud, you guys. Let me just pull it up right here. Fox 32 got it titled Illegal in So Many Ways. Controversy surrounds Thornton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's salary maneuver. And this is what she did.
But first, what some say is a sneaky move to keep a controversial township supervisor in power. In part two of our investigative series, the mayor of Dalton, who's also the Thornton Township supervisor, cements her salary with a last-minute vote.
Our Dane Placco reveals just how she did it. Dane?
Anthony and Natalie, she makes a whopping $224,000 a year. Now Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard wants to cut the salary of her position by nearly $200,000. What a great move for taxpayers, right? Well, the pay cut only happens if someone else gets that job.
It's maybe the worst attempt to try to dissuade people from running that I've ever seen, and that's a long time.
Long time.
He's saying it's the worst attempt, but they passed it. That's what I don't understand. They actually passed this and nobody had the wherewithal and say, "Oh, this doesn't make any sense. Why would you decrease someone's this particular salary so significantly after you get unseated? Why can't you take the pay cut? What's wrong with you? If you really trying to save the people's money, as of today, you should take the pay cut. If you care about the people, you have several, and Donald Trump was one of them. He when he was in office, he didn't collect no money. He didn't even take a salary. You care about the people. You don't want to charge taxpayers more than what they should be paying. So why would you do this? He's saying it's a worse maneuver. I think it's despicable on the trustees. They voted it in. You got to have the majority of vote to get this ordinance passed, and they passed it.
Municipal Attorney Bert Odelson says he was stunned when he saw the latest move by controversial Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who also doubles as the mayor of Dalton. 2 weeks ago, the Township Board passed an ordinance that allows Henyard to continue collecting her $224,000 a year salary. But if anyone other than Henyard gets the job, the ordinance resets that salary to $25,000 a year. Odelson says that's blatantly unconstitutional because you can't set an elected official's salary based on who's holding the seat.
You put a salary to attach to the job, to the
Yeah.
officer. So it is a blatant attempt to dissuade other people from running and to allow the current supervisor to maintain the $250,000 or whatever it is, obnoxious salary.
I didn't receive any information, actually literally till I sat down for the meeting.
No, so you didn't know this was coming?
No.
Thornton Township trustee Chris Gonzalez says he didn't vote for the ordinance because he was handed the 7-page document at the start of a meeting and didn't even have a chance to read it. Gonzalez says it's clear Henyard is trying to ward off an election challenge by cutting the salary of anyone who beats her by nearly 90%.
Discourage people from running is probably the first thing that comes to mind.
A spokesperson for the township declined to comment about Henyard's salary ordinance.
They're not going to comment. Of course, they're not going to comment. They're going to say nothing in regards to this. I wanted to show you the elected officials for Thornton Township. So you got her, Jerry Jones. He's a board member. Darlene Gray Everett. She's a trustee. He's a trustee. And this one, reason why her picture is not up because she's Carmen Carlisle that's uneducated. She escaped from Ohio. Remember our live stream last Friday? This girl escaped from Ohio because she was stealing, bouncing checks and shit. She just needed a brand new start, basically. Her picture is not up because it shouldn't be up. She shouldn't even be a trustee. Don't know how she got in that position, but she is. She's in that position. Loretta, she's the clerk. In this commissioner, but you notice the other guy is not on there. Gonzalez. What happened to him? What happened to him? Don't know, but he's not on there. So she's trying to solidify and dissuade people from running for the supervisor. She's solidifying her supervisory position, and she's trying to dissuade people from running. She's double dipping into salaries, but I guess they found out that she can be the mayor and the supervisor. Thornton Township. Now, this is from Illinois Leaks. It says Thornton Township and its dishonorable supervisor, Tiffany Henyard, recently passed another patently offensive, unlawful, and self-serving compensation setting ordinance for its elected official. The Local Government Officer Compensation Act is clear. The compensation setting is tied to the office and not the person. That's what they just said on the news. The Thornton Township trustee who voted to approve this should hang their heads in shame. That's what I said. How did they let this woman get away with this? They said they wrote about the compensation ordinance violating the state laws 18 months ago and urged any resident to challenge it in court. We wrote about the township passing the unlawful additional compensation during their term of office. We also spoke on this subject during the township's meeting, I guess, in September the 17th, 2022. Now comes double-dipping supervisor Tiffany Henyard and the Township Board of Trustees who doubled down on their unlawful elected official compensation setting ordinance last month. And as we again asked township residents to find a good attorney to challenge this ordinance in court, as it cannot stand as passed. This ordinance is purely self-serving and will virtually ensure no one else runs for any township office in Thornton. Township keeping the current office holders in power with their current bloated salaries and benefits. We say this because very few people are willing to serve their community, let alone serve the largest township in Illinois for so little compensation. Maybe some good folks will step up and serve for the right reason and prove our assumption on this point wrong. It says the new elected supervisor will receive $25,000 annually. However, Henyard is, if reelected, will continue to receive more than $260,000, which includes more than $59,000 for expenses, plus outrageous travel expense reimbursement between $250 and $600 per day. You guys, like I said, I'm a engineer by trade. Travel with my engineer, with the company, and they never in their life gave us $600. And literally, the company I work for made 900 million times more than this township. They didn't give us a $600. We didn't get a $600 per day per diem. We didn't get it. We didn't get that. So I don't understand. And one of the things I was saying back in one of my live streams, they need to change that. And it's written in there, whatever, $600 per day per diem plus their traveling expenses. Usually in per diem, it includes the hotel, travel expensive. The hotel and the food. That's what your per diem should cover. Did I say travel and food? No, lodging and food. That's what it usually covers. Now the travel is separate, but lodging and food is usually included in your per diem. Why in the world do you get sick? You get paid more to travel. than just being a regular supervisor, which doesn't make any sense. And insurance for as long as she retained her office. A newly elected a trustee will receive $5,000 annually. However, the current serving trustee will continue to receive up to $42,000. Expenses, outrageous travel reimbursement as long as they remain in office. This is crazy. So these elected officials, I employ anyone. Like if I was there, I would do it for free. Because it got to be someone that already got something going on. It can't be like, oh, I need the money for this job. No, you gotta like literally have something going on, have some income coming in, and you just doing this just off of GP because you want a better place for where you live at. Just to unseat these unlawful people. This tells me everyone that voted for this is her people. Because why would you vote for that? Why would you do that? So no one could challenge you in an election or be discouraged to challenge you. The road commissioner, which is that one guy that was pictured, they will receive $12,000 annually. However, the currently serving road commissioner makes $60,000 a year for as long as he retained office. A newly elected clerk assessor will receive $12K, while the current assessor will continue to receive a $59K and $101K respectively for as long as they retain the office. We should have loved to have written about how this township slashed its elected official by 80%, but unfortunately, this ordinance is the nothing but to screw you to anyone attempting to challenge incumbents of Thornton Township public office. So all these people is for her. All these people. It's for her. She got the township locked up. I I'm lost for words. You guys put it in chat. What do you think about this? I am lost for words. Okay. Let me just go to. I thought I had some moderators on. Let me go to my live stream right quick. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me that you got all these people in here. Who is that? Right to freedom. Rome, I'll make you a moderator too. Rome, I thought I already made you a moderator. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make any sense. You guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this. Because like I said before, you have all these people in here that could stop this, and they're just as crooked as she is. They're not saying anything about this. They're not saying anything about how wrong this is. Right to freedom. Talk, put something in the chat so I could where's my wrench? I don't know. Where's my wrench at? I don't know. I think that's there you go, Rome. Right to freedom. Type something in again so I could moderate you. I really don't understand that. I really don't understand why can't why isn't anyone talking against this? You have so many people on this board that's with the illegal shenanigans. And you see, let me just show you this picture of this board. Where am Thornton Township at? You got Gonzalez. I guess Gonzalez, they're trying to move him out probably. Gonzalez probably try to move him out because he's not with the shenanigans. Jerry Jones, black. Darlene Gray Everett, black. Carmen Carlisle, black. She's a clerk. He's the commissioner. This is the white guy. So he trying to die in office. And he's Tiffany's supporter too, because I've seen him on several things. But you got, these black women and men surrounding her. And like I said, when FBI comes around, what are you gonna do? You think they're gonna sing like a canary? Of course they are. They're gonna sing like a canary.
Who left their backpack down here in this chair?
They will sing like a canary. Anyway, we're gonna get to your other boy in Chicago because he's doing some crazy shit too. He's doing some crazy stuff too. I don't know why I saw a super chat, you guys. I wanted to highlight it, but now I don't see it on the stream anymore. But anyway, Mayor Brandon Johnson is just as stupid as Tiffany Henyard, in my opinion. Because Mayor Brandon Johnson is mad at the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, because he wants to ship, he's trying to unload some of his burden to to spread the wealth. Why should I bear the brunt of all the immigrants? Why should I bear the brunt, get all these immigrants in Texas, and this is the whole United States? Why can't I ship them across? You guys said you were safe haven. So two things that happen with Mayor Brandon Johnson. One, they took away the right for the public to have any input whether or not if Chicago should be a safe haven for migrants. They don't want the public's opinion. And they voted down that right last week. They voted down their right for last week. And so since they voted down that right, now of course the residents was always mad. They didn't want to be a safe haven for illegal immigrants. Now, Chicago mayor accuses Greg Abbott of attacking country by busing illegal immigrants. That's what they're saying. It says Mayor Brandon Johnson accused Governor Greg Abbott of attacking our country as the governor continues to bus illegal immigrants that come across the border. Why is he attacking the country? Can somebody tell me that? Why is he attacking the country? It says the issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago. It's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, and traumatized. They're not cold in Texas. They just cold going to Chicago.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
He's attacking the country. You guys put it in chat. Governor Greg Abbott is attacking the country because Governor Abbott says, okay, you guys don't want to close the border. This is a total different sentiment like 2 weeks ago. You wanted to kumbaya. You had enough resources. Migrants should feel safe, blah, blah, blah. Now the temperatures dropped. Now your sentiment has changed. You took away the rights for your residents to speak up to whether or not they could vote as Chicago a sanctuary city. You took away that right. Actually, all your aldermen did. You guys took away, not just Brandon Johnson. Majority of the aldermen voted against it. They said no, they don't want the residents to vote on that. They want to have the power. So they took away that right. And you're forcing people to say, yes, migrants could come here, immigrants could come here. And now you're placing blame on Greg Abbott because he's busing, continues to bus people there because you said you was a sanctuary city. Now, should they provide shoes and coats and stuff? Well, where was their shoes when they was coming over here? They came over here with no shoes or anything. And maybe they did. If you know this, if you're because Texas is warm, if you are aware of this, you should have shoes at the bus station and coats for these people. Because that's not Greg Abbott's problem. It's warm down there. Why would he provide shoes and coats for them and it's warm? Shoes, maybe. Okay. You could get some shoes. But that's just a humanitarian effort as well. So you're mad at Greg Abbott. You guys put in chat. Is this like he going in the wrong direction in this one? He mad. He's placing blame on Greg Abbott for his poor mismanagement of the migrant crisis. That's what I get. Now, so since they've been coming over here with no shoes and coats and being bused to Chicago, which is very cold. Chicago is known as the Windy City. No one told them, hey, you know, Chicago is pretty cold this time. Are you sure you want to go to Chicago? But nobody's telling them that they probably got some relatives up there and say, oh yeah, let's go to Chicago. So they're coming. They're coming here, and now they're getting sick. They're getting sick. This is another super chat. She's playing around in Illinois and going to catch them charges for of their past 10 governors grabbed some jail time. Yeah, Illinois is full of corruption. But what is I getting at? So they're coming over here and they're falling ill, and one particular child end up dying because of they fell ill, and they're saying it's like a chicken pox breakout or whatever in one of the shelters, but they're not really pinpointing what the illness is. So this is what they're talking about. Let me just share this tab with you. They're saying a 5-year-old boy who was living at one of the Chicago migrant shelter is dead, raising alarms about the conditions on the inside. And it says at least 6 people have been hospitalized from the shelter since Sunday. 5 children and 1 teenager, including 5-year-old Jean Carlos Martinez Riviero, died Sunday. That's what they're going through now. And this is what they had to say.
A 5-year-old boy.
Several shelters now dealing with chicken pox, including the Pilsen shelter where that 5-year-old stayed. CBS 2's Charlie DeMar live for us in Pilsen tonight. And Charlie, at least 3 other kids were also hospitalized there.
And Joe and Erica, the city of Chicago not saying if chicken pox caused that 5-year-old's death or caused those other ambulance runs, but within about the last 5-10 minutes, we saw another ambulance leaving this shelter, and residents we spoke to say people are sick inside and that the conditions are unacceptable. Monday, another ambulance pulled off from the temporary shelter in Pilsen that houses more than 2,000 migrants. It's where a 5-year-old boy died from an unknown illness Sunday, and others ranging in age from 1 to 18 have been hospitalized, including this woman's 1-year-old who needed medical attention for a fever. Other residents say kids at this shelter are experiencing high temperatures and stomach pain. Mayor Brandon Johnson was asked about conditions at the city-run shelter.
They're showing up sick. Are you hearing me? They're showing up sick.
Good evening, everyone.
Monday, the pews at St. Bartholomew's in Portage Park were filled with nearby residents who learned that up to 350 new arrivals could soon be moving into vacant buildings on the campus. We asked leaders with the Archdiocese about plans to keep migrants healthy at the newly proposed site, which would be operated by the city.
He's saying they showing up sick and all that stuff. Okay, yeah, they showing up sick, but is that Greg Abbott's fault that they're sick? They they went on a long journey from wherever they came from. Some came through tunnels, some was on the boat, some, however they got here. How can you stay well in those type of conditions? And you're blaming Greg Abbott for that. It's not Greg Abbott's fault. You think Greg Abbott is supposed to ship you migrants that's clean bill of health and ready to work and already speaking English. Matter of fact, you just don't want them to come to your city, and you're afraid to admit it. You're afraid to speak that out loud because you don't want to feel like you're being it's against your progressive nature.
I think with the additional support that the parish can provide, we're obviously very keenly aware of some of the other challenges and want to be sure that we're providing a safe environment for the families that are going to be staying here.
And earlier tonight, I spoke to medical professionals who've been offering their services to migrants since they've been arriving here in Chicago. They say they have tried to get into this facility, but the city has not allowed them in. We asked Mayor Brandon Johnson about it. He says he knows nothing about.
He don't know nothing because he don't want people to know how they're living. It's a secret. He don't want to let everybody else know how they living and how many people they got in the shelter. Just like in New York. So people are trying to volunteer their services and you're turning them away because you're being secretive. To me, it's ludicrous. But you want to blame Greg Abbott for your problems. And it's not Greg Abbott's fault. Actually, it's the president of the United States' fault. He could close the borders, put some type of executive order together since Congress doesn't want to pass something. Put the executive order together and close the borders. That's how you saw that. But you want to blame one governor. Anyway. One governor. So that's Mayor Brandon Johnson for you. He's blaming one person. The other story about Johnson, let me just go to it if I can. This is with their education. I don't know if you guys remember Brandon Johnson while he was on his campaign trying to get elected to the mayor of Chicago, that position. He mentioned that he didn't like giving his kids tests. He's a teacher, or I guess administrator at one point of a school. And he didn't like giving his kids tests. Now, I know tests are hard, for some people. Some people have test anxiety. But how can you determine whether or not you're improving on your skill set or what you're learning if you don't give a test? And this is with their educational system. So Brandon Johnson thought it would be okay to say, oh, we don't need those selective schools that require for you to test in to get into the school because of your ability, your intellect, your intellectual ability. You got to test in the school, those type of schools. He's getting rid of those. He's getting rid of the high performing schools, the selective process, because he said it's not equitable. It's not equitable. So, and he wants everyone to be accepted in those types of schools instead of improving the public school system. He wants the good schools with kids with really good grades and study hard. He wants to ruin those schools. He wants to ruin those schools and put kids that not their mama or daddy not even trying not even trying to force the kids to learn something. And I think it's setting them up for failure, number one. Because if you're a poor performing student and you have to perform really well to get in those schools, what is that saying to the student? You're gonna have low morale, really. But he's moving to end. They're calling it selective enrollment, and this is what they had to say on Fox about that. Let me share this tab with you.
Enrollment high schools in order to boost equity, despite promising not to do this during his campaign. The controversial move will reportedly take a toll on 11 city high schools, the majority of which significantly outperform Chicago public schools on SATs and other standardized tests. Joining us now to discuss is Senior Fellow at the American Federation for Children and founder of Black Minds Matter, Tanisha Allen. Tanisha, good morning to you. Can you explain to us what just happened here? What did the Chicago Board of Education just do?
Really, it's a facade of morality, offering students freedom within, I would say, an already prison type system. Students do not have the freedom to move about in government schools, and they never will. And so this move by the Chicago mayor to increase, quote unquote, options in a school district that's already failing students, it's a facade, and we need to blow up the entire system, give that money directly to parents, and allow them to choose the best school that's best for their kid, to get them out of these schools like the head of the teachers union did in Chicago.
So the way I understand it, and I may be simplifying it a bit too much, correct me if I'm wrong, but that these selective enrollment schools are just better than other public schools in Chicago. And the Board of Education shut those specific schools down. Why would they do that?
So, like I said, it's a facade of the morality. So these schools are magnet schools, SAT prep schools, arts-based schools, and they have been selective. And many people don't think that public schools can select the students that enter into their doors, but that's just simply not the fact.
Let me go back to this part, you guys.
So these students are coming in, they are made.
You see, this is Chicago schools. This is Chicago schools. Their reading level in SAT reading, and look at these high performance schools. So essentially, they closed those down, and they want the parents to be able to go to these schools, or the selective enrollment process. They don't want schools to have selective enrollment process. So how you test in the schools, they don't want you to do that. They just want to accept anybody in the schools. So you just gonna have Pookie and Ray Ray. Pookie and Ray Ray just dumbing down the schools. Like I said, the parents that don't care about their education. Oh, this is a good school, but you don't put time, the effort, and the time to get your kids to do well in school. So why should you mess the education up for all these other kids that's actually taking their education serious?
SAT prep schools, arts-based schools, and they have been selective. And many people don't think that public schools can select the students that enter into their doors, but that's just simply not the fact. So these students are coming in, they're majoring in arts, they're getting, it's a magnet school, and the mayor is basically saying, we're going to do away with that system and allow all students. Think about the affirmative justice ending at the college level, but now in the K through 12 public education education level.
Yeah, and I guess this speaks to the push against school choice in Chicago. And if I remember correctly, wasn't it the Chicago Teachers Union president who speaks out against school choice publicly, but then she sent her own child to private school?
That's exactly right. Over 85% of the students in Chicago public schools are minority. Only 11% of those Black kids can read on grade level, and 7% can do math on grade level. The head of the Chicago Teachers Union saw the dismal outcomes that's happening in Chicago's public schools and said, no way, I'm going to pick a great school for my son. And that was a private school. The hypocrisy is despicable. And unfortunately, she's denying those same options to other families who are in the same predicament. The families who would like to get into these selective enrollment schools, but probably won't still test well enough to get in.
Yeah.
They can't read, and they probably won't graduate from high school knowing how to read either.
Wow.
They deserve choice.
This is such a sad turn of events for students who are thriving and who want to get a great education in Chicago. And maybe parents, if they have the means, will move as a result. We'll just have to wait and see. Denisha, thank you so much for joining us, explaining this to us. We appreciate it.
And speaking of school choice, I think you should have school choice. I think you should be able to send your kid to a school that's performing well. Hey, if the school is not in my district, it's not performing well, it's a bad actor. I prefer my kid to go to X, Y, and Z school. I think you should be able to do that. And I also think a school should be able to be selective in a process. Hey, let's look at these grades. Now we know that we have these are our standards. Did you test? How did you test on, the standardized test last year? Do we need to facilitate another test to see if you could test in the school? Because we want our students to do well. So what is wrong with that? Mayor Brandon Johnson and that progressive, or you're trying to say, hey, we want more equitable choice, but you're really failing the kids. What they need to do is overhaul the school system. You need to overhaul the school system. And we need to overhaul parents' thinking, because it's not just the schools failing our kids. I think it's more than the schools failing our kids. I think the parents is failing the kids as well. Yeah, I think if you are a parent that don't you don't take education lightly, you take it very seriously, and you instill that in your child, I think your kid tends to do better than other students. But if you don't believe in education, and you don't you're not on your kid's head to, hey, do your homework, you got to study, or this time is reading, you can't just be sitting in front of the TV, your child may not do well in school. And then a parent that you have the teacher contacting the parent, and the parent acting like their kids is not doing anything wrong. Your kid is causing problems or behind, and you're not being a parent that's involved. So I think it's two things, but I really do think they need to overhaul the public school system. I really do. Not only Chicago, but in Detroit. This leads me to my last story. Your girl, if you live in Michigan, your girl Governor, what's her name? Governor Whitmer. Just signed a bill. She just signed a bill saying that it is okay to pass the kid if they can't read at grade level. in Michigan, they used to have where at third grade, if you can't read past third grade, like if you in third grade or you're not at third grade reading level, they won't pass you to the next level. No, she did away with that. She just did this. She just passed this. From the education, Wimmer. I'm just trying to figure out what is yeah. Let me just remove. I just learned about this one. Now this is new. I did not know this. It says Governor Whitmer signed bill to end A through F grades for school performance. I'm telling you, I don't understand why. This makes me really sad. And the only reason why it makes me sad is because we have kids. They're already failing, and right now you're just lying to children. They're not going to have any type of standards. They're not going to know what to achieve to. And you know who's being this affects the most is mainly Black people. Black people, anybody that's living in the urban area. Because now you go into school. How my kid do? Oh, they're doing fine. They're doing their work. What do you mean? What did you give them any tests? Like, oh, we don't give grades out. Why not? How do you know they're doing good? So when they go to college, they're not gonna know. They're gonna really feel bad because in college, especially if you major in some type of STEM field, the grading system in college is a little bit different, even though sometimes you get some professors grading on the curve, but it's going to be a bad wake-up call for these kids. And it's saying Governor Gretchen signed a bill Monday to toss out the Republican-backed A through F letter grade system for evaluating Michigan schools, saying the policy amounted to burdensome requirements. Less is more with the repeal the A through F, which always tried to create false impressions that the rating schools was easy. State Superintendent Michael Rice said the statement from Whitmer's office, schools are complex and what educators do daily for children is as well. It distills poorly into the letter grade system. I don't know about that. Anyway. Let me just try to find that one Whitmer. If I could find this, because I know I just read it in the news. But basically, if your kid is at third grade, they're going to pass you. If at third grade and can't read at third grade, they'll still pass the kid. And then they wonder why these kids are stupid. They wonder why the kids are stupid. I had one lady, she was raising her grandkid, and she was really upset that at the end of the year, the teacher called her and said, we can't send your kid to the next grade. And I think he was like in first or second grade. We can't send your kid to the next grade because he can't read. And she was really upset. She was like, what do you mean he can't read? And, she was complaining about it. And I thought to myself, like, how did you not know your child couldn't read? I mean, I know it's your grandkid, but you raising them. I mean, how did you not know your kid couldn't read? And she tried to really blame them. And they should have told us at the beginning, but they never said nothing. They waited till the end of the year and said something. And I was just like, well, it's your fault that your kid can't read. I mean, who else's fault? If your kid can't read at first grade, who else's fault is that? But it's the teachers, your teacher should help your kid move along to go into the next reading level. And I think it's just a sad, sad thing. This is sad. Um, and I didn't know they got rid of the A through F system. They still use it out here though. I mean, in the suburbs. You still get a grade out here. They don't give grades until like the 4th grade. Then they start giving grades. But I just can't imagine sending my kid to school like right now to some of these public schools, like in Chicago or something. I can't imagine it because you have no hope for your kids to achieve anything because they did away with all the standards. You guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Walter Hartman read books, yeah. Reginald, the parents didn't go into a rage over that. All this is saying to some parents is that the children don't have to try it at all. Just wait to be promoted. Kimberly, the effects of COVID did regardless if you believe it or not, lockdowns were real. Yeah, and that's what they're saying. People, just because the school was closed and kids did fall behind. You had some kids that couldn't even log on to, I guess, online school. It didn't help, but you got, hey, if you got young kids, you gotta help them. You gotta make them read. You gotta make them do all kinds of stuff, homework. Don't plan on them going to college. No, these are the kids that are gonna be robbing and killing you. They're gonna be taking your shit because we didn't give them any hope. This is what this is progressive. This is progressive politics, you guys. I know you guys probably don't like to hear it, but this is Democrat progressive politics. Somebody put it in the chat too. Participation, Rome did. Participation trophy. Everybody gets a participation trophy instead of going off the merit. Hey, this person studied hard. I wouldn't be surprised because in my children's school, they have this blue ribbon board. A blue ribbon is basically, hey, this person did really excellent on a test. And they put a blue ribbon and put it on this board. And every grade gets one. Every teacher gets to pick like 4 or 5 people on that test that did really well. And then if you get a blue ribbon, they send you a card to your house saying, oh, your kid was showcased on the blue ribbon board. So just imagine they have no blue ribbon boards in the hood at these schools that they're talking about. No blue ribbon board. Oh no, you don't get no A's. So why even try? Oh, you just get thank you for trying. Oh, you did a good job, and you pronouncing everything wrong. Remember, I covered that story. I don't know if this was a few months ago, and the administrator, I don't know if she was psychiatrist or whatever. She said you shouldn't correct Black kids because they use the word ask. Not ask, A-S-K, but ask. I asked you a question, like ax, A-X-E. You shouldn't correct them because it makes them feel some type of way. And it's like, oh, I know. Correct my kid. Why the hell would I send them to school to speak like me? If I'm speaking country and I'm sending them to get an education, no, I want them to speak proper English. I don't want them to go through life saying the wrong word and you never correct them because you feel like it's being you're being prejudiced. No, you're speaking proper English. This is what they are saying about Black folks. Black folks, I guess you don't have the wherewithal to do better. You can't achieve greatness. You guys put it in the chat. I think that's the message that they're sending. Black kids or these minority kids, they can't achieve greatness. So get rid of pass them along, get rid of that standard, get rid of the grades A through F. Don't test them. Don't test them to see if they could get into a school, some type of competition. To have, hey, this is a competitiveness. I think competitiveness is a good thing. You don't need that. Oh, what are you worried about reading for? Why even read? You don't need that. Just sign your name here. And what you supposed to put? X. One last story before I go off. I know I've been okay, it's 8:30. One last story. This is about reading. I have an assistant, a former assistant. She said she was so embarrassed. Her 19-year-old son, or 18 or 19-year-old son, went to the doctor's office to fill out papers. You know, at 18, you got to fill out your own papers. But she was still with him. And he was still in high school. So filling out the papers. She said she was so embarrassed because he barely could fill out a paper. He didn't know how to fill out, just basic information. And he didn't know how to sign his name. They don't teach. Well, now they brought it back. He was part of that era where they took out cursive or penmanship. Now they're starting to teach kids how to sign their name or cursive now. But they stopped teaching them. And so she was like, you don't know how to sign your name? And he was 18, 19, something like that. He didn't know how to sign his name. He wasn't a Black kid either. He didn't know how to sign his name. And it's like, these are the kids. Now, he got to be like 24, 25 now. This was a few years ago. But these are the kids that no child left behind means all child left behind. That's basically what that means. Oh, you don't need no Third grade reading level, oh, that's good enough. Just pass them along. It's like, no standards or whatever. It's very, very heartbreaking. So, you guys, I'm done. You guys, let me know what you think. Put it in the chat. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.